Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm Harvey Free. We got a great show for you today. Special guest, Dade DiMaggio. Hey, Dade, what's happening?
Harvey, how are you?
The House of May, of course, in downtown Birmingham. And you bring our great friend in, Tom Oslund from Presidential Title Group. Hey, what's going on, Tom?
What's happening, Harvey? Good morning.
Everyone knows you in town, Tom, so don't try to go incognito. And I'll be taking all my buddies at the other title companies' calls all morning. Yes, you guys can come on the show, too, if you got something to add.
I created some havoc, huh?
That's fine. Don't worry about it. You're bringing these great real estate agents. Dade, what a pleasure to meet you and to talk with you. I checked your background out, and wow, what a hustler, and just the way you go about real estate. It's like the new age of real estate, and you've got a great new office, so Tell me all about it. What you got cooking?
Yeah, about 2 years ago, I acquired a building in downtown Birmingham, and since then, it's just been a snowball down the hill. We started off really small. I planned on starting a business where I would sell my own real estate, basically out of a broom closet. And, a couple people came around, the right people at the right time. And now we're at 20 agents. We're in the heart of downtown Birmingham. We got guys like Tom coming in, joining the crew, and really giving us a strong presence in downtown Birmingham right now in the real estate market.
I love all that. We're going to be talking 1 hour, of course, the Hardcore Mortgage Show. We take your calls live in the studio, 248-539-9797. Title's not sexy. These guys mentioned, by the way, they did mention that they were going to make it sexy.
We
I don't
make it
know
sexy.
How. Sexy last night was Riley Green with 2 home runs.
It was incredible.
In the 9th, 8-run inning. We'll have lots of sports following our show. Of course, Tiger Baseball later tonight, and Pat and Mark join us right after our show. But real estate is really fun stuff.
Yeah.
So many people got into it recently, you guys. The different things we always talk about. Let's try to go with some newer topics today. And one of them is all the new blood that's in the real estate industry.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, when I first got in, I was touching you guys a little. I'd walk in offices, and most of the agents really didn't even have the education.
No clue.
I was sort of shocked. It was, the early 90s. I think I got in 91, 92, right in that area. And I think the first thing that really was after I started learning like how FHA and how the loans come together and how the transactions come together. A lot of moving parts. We always use that, Dade.
Yeah, it's a complex situation, and every deal is different. And obviously, when you're dealing with the real estate side of it and the mortgage side of it, collaboration is important, and having strong-minded, smart people to do that transaction is key.
Sometimes, things change in the mortgage world too, Tom, as you know. One of the huge change was when we first started doing minimal down transactions. People are like, what do you mean you can buy zero down? Yeah. Only the veterans used to be able to buy zero down. Correct. Then they started with, again, 3% down conventional purchases. And FHA, of course, has always been at 3.5%. But one of the stigmas about like the different loans out there always was, hey, FHA is going to knock down. They're going to scrutinize this house. The appraisal is going to come back with tons of repair. Stuff that's just not true anymore.
No, you'd be surprised how many deals we're actually putting through with FHA, with VA. They're strong loans, and they just need to be explained better sometimes to the client, to the market, and also to the other agents who, when they don't know, it's going to be, they're stigmatized, and sometimes it's hard to push through. But, this is the way to get a lot of deals done for sure.
Yeah, especially if you can offer every type of loan that's out there. Yeah. FHA loan limits in the Tri-County area, more importantly across the state, of $524,225. I'll give it away to all the mortgage people out there. It's always 65% of the conforming loan limit. So, of course, the new conforming loan limit, 800, 6,500. So, FHA is not for someone who's necessarily in bad shape all around.
No.
They might just have something going on.
Absolutely.
And there's lots of reasons why. So, one of the things too, Dade, it bothered us so much that we'd have a family ready to go, especially a veteran. Mm-hmm. And of course, I know you're really, you're a Stars and Stripes.
I'm a military family. I mean, my grandfather served in the Korean War, so, very strong at my heart for sure.
Good. My same with all my uncles and my grandfathers. They all served in the military.
My father was in the Korean War. Yeah.
The veterans sometimes get a bad rap because if they come in and it's a zero down transaction, I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to sell to a veteran. Talk about a lifelong of blessings you could have by taking care of your own. But we've even heard, Harvey, I'm going to take this other deal. I'm like, our transaction's $10,000 or $15,000 more. The veteran wants the house he can close in 30 days. You're taking less money over, and sometimes, Dave, boy, it's just getting the information out there.
Correct. I mean, and like you said, to all our veterans and military service members, thank you for your service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially at my brokerage. I mean, we employ currently 2 veterans, and so it's very strong to us, and definitely I think that the VA package itself is something that should be promoted further. and we're seeing a lot of success with when it comes to the VA inspections, the VA appraisals. I mean, these deals are closing. So at the end of the day, to stigmatize a VA loan, an FHA loan, I think it's in the past.
Correct. It absolutely is.
If you're representing your seller, get them more money. Let them net more money, whether it be cash or someone's getting a mortgage, net more money. One of the things we always talk about on the show is that, boy, a cash sale probably takes about 2.5 weeks anyways, Tom. I mean, of course, with your title company, you can get us title within 24 hours.
We say 72 hours or less, Harvey. We say 72 hours or less,
That's
but
quick.
yes, I have been getting titles back within 24 hours. It's just depending on the location and the situation. We've automated everything now. It's crazy, to be able to get. I actually ran title on a deal in Florida the other day, and I had it back in 6 minutes. That's crazy. So, we're doing things that other title companies aren't doing with automation and integration with the data trace systems and with Stewart Title and some of the, the big players. And nobody else is able to do that right now.
Speed has definitely become something in our industry, and sometimes Harry even says, Harvey, why do you need this closed in 2.5? Look, we want it clear to close just so all the parties can sort of step back and feel a little bit more comfortable about them moving over. Usually you're selling your house. You need that close to buy your next one.
Right.
It's easier to call an agent up at 2 weeks and say, hey, look, we're clear to close. Appraisals, everything's done.
Absolutely.
Then at 3 weeks or even 4 or 5 days before the closing, they all close within 30 days nowadays.
Right.
But just giving that extra confidence sometimes is
it's not over till it's over, right? So I mean, you want that CDC, you want to feel that final breath, leave your lungs to know this deal's finally over, because sometimes it ain't. Especially right to the closing table, things fall apart all the time.
Yeah.
That you got to have the good lenders involved and that good communication, because you just said things could fall apart. We always say moving parts.
Moving parts. And Harvey, the big thing, too, is the investors, right? This turnaround time with title for investors is huge. Investors' time is money. So, they want to know up front before they start spinning their wheels on a property, if there's any problems, liens, so on and so forth. So when we're able to get title back that quick for investors, it's a win-win.
Let's go right into our inventory here. Of course, Dade, your office is the heart of Birmingham there. So that's pretty
Smack downtown.
Smack downtown right there. So if you want to check it out again, House of May. And you can always give us a call, and we'll get you set up with Dade DiMaggio and his whole team down there. But let's talk about the inventory right here in Oakland County, really in the Tri-County area. It's the year starting off pretty good. I think things the numbers here seem like they're a little bit stronger than last year, but it's definitely nationally it's really close. What are you seeing inventory-wise as we're already kicking off the spring here, a few weeks into it?
Yeah, I mean, things look good. Sentiment is down a little bit, but it seems that as the weather warms up, I feel like we're honestly 30 days behind. We're got
still
pushed,
a little low in the inventory.
Yeah, we got May pushed into June, and I feel like we're just hitting that mark right now where inventory is coming in, rates look good, clients are interested in shopping again, and so we're seeing that spike, and we're gonna run with it because that's the point. Right now is a very hot time to buy and sell a house, and so we're spread out all through Oakland County into Genesee, up and down Michigan, so I do get a good pulse of everything that's around, and I'm feeling very good about it.
I like the downtown areas myself. I want to be in a walkable city where I can go and grab, one of these things. I won't tell you the coffee shop here. I don't want to.
Well, it's funny you say that, Harvey. Yesterday, or it was 2 days ago, because there's a Starbucks right down the street from our office, and I was out front after I got into Starbucks, and I was just sitting at the table. And there was this lady sitting at another table, and she looked over at me, and she was just like, because she saw where I came from upstairs, House of May. And she goes, what do you do? And I said, well, we're a real estate brokerage. I said, what do you do? And she goes, I'm a realtor. And it was like we sat down, we had a conversation. Dade ended up rolling around the corner a couple seconds later. I went out there and I teed it up for Dade. He talked to this young lady, and she's going to be coming over and joining the brokerage. So it was just from hanging out in front in downtown Birmingham.
But that's because Tom gets coffee about 5 times a day. So the possibility of him finding somebody, talking to them, is very likely.
Again, we all have our preference. During the pandemic, of course, a lot of families were saying, I'm going to sell my little downtown. I don't need to be in the city. I don't want to get away from all you folks and all your cooties.
Right.
You seeing a little bit of that as the inventory is stretching out. We're going to start growing here and getting some new construction towards Genesee County. It's really started growing out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's just there's stuff being built, so people are naturally gravitating towards it. And I've lived downtown with my family and then slowly migrated out, and sometimes that's just the natural progression. And so now you have new young bloods sometimes coming downtown, and that pushes people who have one or two kids to say go out to a little bit, get a little more space, a little distance between the neighbors, and I think that's normal. Yeah, and I'm definitely seeing that for sure.
Yeah, thankfully that's the case. That inventory is going to pick up a little bit here, and there are some people a little scared. I mean, the last 6 weeks have been a little crazy because of all the tariff talk. So that is, we see crazy swings in the stock market. So a little uncertainty has people a little uneasy. The data suggests renewed optimism about the housing market, so that's good. Price growth has been there, and that's the key. You can't be on the sidelines anymore. You got to get a piece of this home ownership. And then you have some additional wealth. There's no doubt that home ownership builds wealth, generational wealth for your family.
100%, absolutely. 100%. And I think we're seeing sort of like a kickback towards what generationally has always provided long-term wealth. Housing, gold, you're seeing going through all-time records, And I'm not saying don't diversify, buy other things, but you can always lean back on those two things and be confident in it, in my opinion.
And I'm finding a lot of clients they're hanging on to their homes for their children. Like they don't want to have their children's having a problem getting a home later, so they're hanging on to their homes now to pay that off, to leave that to their kids because they are that concerned.
Well, I'm hanging on to my home because of a 2.87 interest rate
that
I got.
Right?
That too. So we do see a lot of that. Hey, we're going to take your calls all morning long. 248-539-9797. It's a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Again, we are powered by CMG Home Loans, NMLS 1820, Equal Housing Lender. We want to hear from you, so give us a call. Welcome back to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Give us a call at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Of course, we brought in special guest today, Dade DiMaggio, House of May Realty in Birmingham. Lots of energy. Really fun to have the young guys in here. Not too young, Dade. You're right in the mix. Yeah. A lot of first-time home buyers. I mean, younger and younger. I've had 19-year-olds in the past 12 months.
It's the NIL money, right?
In the young 20s. Yeah, hey, the NIL for sure. But we take your calls here. And Tom Oslund, also Presidential Title Group, making title sexy. We'll just go with it all morning long, waking up people here in Metro Detroit.
Love it.
We're actually going to hopefully not have too many rain showers today, just a little hit and miss.
Yeah.
Up to 60, cloudy. Not the prettiest day, but you know what? One of those days we can get a lot of work done.
There you go.
So get it all done. I had the power washer. I had a whole saga on power washers last week, guys.
That's my favorite tool, that and the leaf blower.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know? The leaf blower is not as fun. It's definitely the power washer. We do take your calls here in the studio, 248-539-9797. Serious stuff, getting your house listed 2025. Again, just a little slower. This is a tough winter.
Yeah.
This was a tough winter. I feel like we might be 30 days behind, but that inventory is probably going to start creeping up as we get more and more sellers feeling comfortable about what's going on with the economy. Tell me some of the things when you go to meet somebody, Dade. You know, there's a lot of agents out there now, and everyone wants to list your house. Tell me some of the things without giving away all your great secrets.
Well, I mean, I'm predominantly a sphere of influence realtor. Most of the people that I'm meeting, there's some sort of warm connection to it. You know, other people are different. They do the cold calling, and I respect that, you know. But for me, I'm looking to network with people, and I'm looking to connect with people through people. So usually when I'm coming into an appointment to list something, there is already that kind of understanding between each other because I want to connect with the person. You know, at the end of the day, I feel like people who just wear that realtor facade, you know, you want to show them who you are. And I feel like that's the best way to buy an agent these days is look at the person as a person and see if that's somebody you're comfortable working with. You know, listing a house, photography, marketing, these things are pretty standard in today's market. So you need to look for something else. You need an X factor. And I believe when you can find that in the person themselves, whether it's, you know, the character they bring, the type of things that they're involved in outside of their work life. These are things that I feel like push the envelope as far as choosing the right person, because the real negotiation comes down to how that person is going to handle the phone call with the other agent, how they're going to handle that multiple offer scenario. This is where they're going to earn their 3% or whatever it is that you're going to pay them, you know. And so it's important that you find somebody that's confident in their own life and successful outside of work as well.
Yeah. And what Dade really, because I go into brokerages all the time. You know, I go into real estate brokerages all the time, so I see everything. And one of the things that really attracted me to Dade and what they're doing at House of May is he doesn't give them a box, right? You go to some of these big box lenders and big box realtors, and, you know, you're working within a box. And if you can't work within their box, it's a little tough for you. Now, granted, they have all this marketing support and all these things, but you pay for that too. What I've noticed that Dade does is he doesn't put you in a box. He finds out what your strengths are, and he helps kind of, you know, exemplify those and helps you grow to brand yourself, you know, not fall within his brand, but brand yourself within House of May. And it really allows the agents to grow. And I've never seen anybody else do something like that.
Yeah, and it really helps define then what the brokerage becomes. I mean, we're defined by our representatives, by our agents. And so I'm looking to take characters, personalities, people who in their outside world are succeeding. And then, you know, real estate falls into that. And I see real estate agents who are climbing to the top, who are doing the best, are people who integrate from, you know, the outside world. And bring that into real estate, not the other way around. I mean, the truth is if somebody walks into a door and says, you know, hi, I'm Dave the realtor and I'd like to sell your house, they're probably not going to get that listing.
Right.
But when you develop that relationship, you show character, you show interest, you know, I feel like that's the way to get into finding new listings, finding new business.
It's an emotional purchase, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, every home buy is a very emotional purchase. So if you can tap into that emotion,
you got to. Yeah,
it's a win.
All those great words like trust and confidence is what you're really giving to these families, whether on the buy side or the listing side.
Correct.
We got open lines all morning long, 248-539-9797. Definitely the housing market's on the healthier side. One of the things that you guys touched on, and you said it to me on the phone, Dade, and I talk a lot, but I definitely heard this. You said, Harvey, I'm like teaching people how to be really good real estate agents, not salespeople. You know, anyone could be a salesperson, but I'm telling them how to build that sphere of influence and build that confidence. You know, people look, gravitate to people they like, you know.
Yeah.
It could be your parents' friend, liked you as a kid, and they're like, this guy's great. And then they watch you as a young man or young lady flourish, you know, whether you're a great high school athlete or on the orchestra or whatever it might be. And now you're in your 20s, and people like that.
Oh, yeah.
And they say, hey, I remember when so-and-so's kid was, you know, successful and kind. Yeah, that translates into really helping people later in life.
People want to work with winners, right? I mean, people gravitate towards success. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying, is that when you see somebody who's successful in their family life, when you see somebody who's successful athletically, when you see somebody that has, you know, gone through it and succeeded, I think that resonates really well with how their real estate career is going to be, you know? And so when you're hiring an agent like that, you might just want to look into what else they've done, because, you know, I feel like that's a strong point to any candidate.
I will pick on some of our folks in our industry here a little bit. Everyone's a trainer now. Everybody's reading scripts.
Yeah.
I'm running away from that stuff. It sort of blows my mind that the younger generation clicks a lot of buttons. Let's go there. You know, they don't. I don't know if they want to talk to me or not. I mean, I'm sure I'm saying the wrong things. I could always be busier. What am I saying? I'm saying, look, the old-fashioned way was we would sit down or have a deep conversation about what's your plan, you know, young couple, let's say, or an individual, a single person, and really put that plan together and then talk about the differences. One of the things I know with a lot of first-time homebuyers, they're clicking buttons. They can't feel what a refinance feels like.
Correct.
Us old-time mortgage people are like, look, guys, we've been here before. We've seen these higher sixes. We know your friends bought 2 or 3 years ago in your 30s and got that 2.75 or that 3.25% interest rate. Yeah. Let's talk about what we're going to do for you and how things can change. You know, there's a huge difference out there, Dade.
Yeah, I mean, those low rates a couple of years ago, that was a blip in the matrix, right? So I think that there's a generation that felt that, but it's unrealistic. Good. You know, historically speaking, mortgage rates seem to be at a very favorable, if not normal rate over the last, 30 years or so, Harvey? That's kind of your spot.
Well, back in the late 70s, early 80s, Harvey, you remember, interest rates were 14%.
Yeah.
13%, 18% at sometimes.
The best part when we first started the refi boom there, and you talk about early 90s, was a lot of families getting off the 14s. They went to 10, then they went to 9, and we got them at 7, and then 6. And we were like, no way would it ever get better than 6 or 6.25. And then you saw the 5s and the 4s and the 3s and the 2s, which is insanity. Yeah. Hey, we'll take your calls live here in the studio. We got Dade DiMaggio and, of course, House of May. And Tom Oslund from Presidential Title, 248-539-9797. Always making real estate a little bit more fun. Let's talk about some cool stuff. Appreciation. Boy, talk about building wealth. I still feel very strong that if you're buying any house here in the Tri-County area, and let's extend it out, and anywhere in Southeast Michigan or in the United States, the values are continuously growing. Everyone's coming to Michigan. You know, there's been a lot of folks that have been headed out other places.
I used to question why, but I don't so much
water.
anymore.
We got some fresh water here, and there's no hurricanes and all that other stuff. But definitely appreciation. Get a piece of the wealth now. What do you feel like someone could buy a house now and comfortably? What do you feel like? What's that house going to go up in percentage-wise over the next few years?
Well, I mean, you got to look at the time period that you're talking about. So if you're looking at a 2 to 3 year period, I guess it's a little more suspect than it is on a 5 to 10 trajectory, or say like a 10 to 20, but it all looks positive in my opinion. I feel like historically speaking, you look at that chart and it goes one way. And I feel like it's going to continue to go that way as well.
I saw these average sale prices. People keep putting data out there. And listen to this craziness, Tom. Northville, average sales price, $1.7 million.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Well, wait a minute. My buddy Marty's condo is only worth like 160 or 170. There are some steals still out there.
My buddy TJ lives out in Northville, and it is gone. It is just over the years. The whole South Lyon, Northville, Brighton, that whole area out there.
Everything's just exploding. I'll read the numbers here, what they said, average sales price. And this is just across a few cities here. Really in Oakland County. I do have Detroit came in at $112,000. Again, still a lot of distressed properties that are getting eaten up, 1, 2, 3,000. There's people buying.
But I think that's gone up a little bit.
Yeah, 112 it's really a great average because there's so many great things happening in the city where you're seeing these gorgeous condominiums and all the high rises and the lofts. Also regeneration, regrowth of all these wonderful cities out there. You've seen a lot of that stuff. Sure. But again, it's moving in the right direction. Royal Oak, $404,000. Birmingham's over $1 million for the average sales price in Birmingham. Ferndale, $274,000.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I had a listing come across. It was a $475 in Ferndale the other day for, I think it was like a 2,100 square foot little bungalow or ranch or something. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean, it used to be
unbelievable.
Birmingham that was 200 plus a foot, and now
Right.
that just creeped off into Clawson,
Everywhere.
Ferndale,
Yeah. Madison
Huntington-
Heights, all that
Huntington
area,
Woods
yeah.
is always expensive, but yeah, it's great when you look at, like you said, what is it going to look like in a few years? I mean, probably more.
Let's talk about a couple listings you got, or maybe one particular house, or something coming up that might be more exciting for our listeners.
Oh, geez. I mean, from a brokerage perspective, we got some nice stuff coming up in the West Bloomfield area. We do a lot in West Bloomfield.
Good.
So we got some nice, 4-bed, 3-bath colonials coming up in the 600 to 700 range. Nicely updated. We have commercial listings out in Shelby.
Yeah.
We're doing stuff out there. We're doing condos in West Bloomfield. We're doing Detroit. We have a few different listings picking up some stuff on the smaller side. We also are.
I'm seeing a lot of business in Detroit.
Katie, what do you got? We got one of our agents in studio. Yeah, we got Frankenmuth coming up. I mean, we're all over the map. So, specifically speaking, you can go to hoffmay.com and check out, some of our stuff that's listed. And we're always open to talk about it for sure.
All right, we'll give out the website a little bit later. House in May in downtown Birmingham. Katie, you're an agent too over here. Katie's doing all this. She's not plugged in on the mic, but
Katie's
she's doing
awesome.
some
Taking pictures for us. Yeah.
AV stuff here, the audio, video, and taking some fun stuff that we can use later. All right, we're up against our second break here. Energy's picking up here in Southeast Michigan. Get out there, enjoy your day. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, 8:30 here in Southeast Michigan. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Again, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. You can call us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's 1-800-569-7283. Just again, you guys always Google everything out there, so just Google it. You can find some great people out there. Tom Oslund, presidential title. Like I said, Tom, since I'll take the heat all week from every title person, when do I get to come on, Harvey? Yes, you guys can come on. Any great real estate agent, someone starting off, someone who's got some history, give me a call at the office. We love bringing people on the radio show and getting you some exposure. Dade DiMaggio is fantastic. Dade comes with a lot of perspective, just so much information. We're going to get into that a little bit more here in the second half. Tom, touch on this title insurance thing. You really can't close on a house. I can't buy a house if someone else has some lien that's on there. Some construction guy never cleared a lien when they redid the deck a few years back, whatever it could be.
That is absolutely true. It is the most important piece, and it's the least talked about. Everyone, when they talk about title, is like, oh, God, title is so boring.
The ugly stepchild, right?
Right, the ugly redheaded stepchild, right? So it's like we have brought title back to be sexy. And by doing that is I've started work for a company about a year ago, Presidential Title Group. I've been in the real estate industry almost 30 years. From the single family side to the multifamily side, I was vice president of Village Green for a number of years. To now, I'm on the title side, so I've kind of seen it all. And when Presidential Title Group first approached me with title, I'm like, ugh, like I said, and then they told me what they were doing, and it really piqued my interest. Our owner, Jeff Polk, is a genius. He's an attorney, and he was an investor for years, and he was buying and selling properties all over the country. And he was obviously using different title companies and different services all over the country, and, what a nightmare that was. And in his mind, there had to be a better way, right? There had to be a better way to do this. So in his infinite wisdom, he came back and he put together a tech team, and he developed some proprietary software that has set us aside from the competition, where we are actually integrated now with the data trace systems and with Stewart Title. Yes, sir.
Go into the good stuff, Tom. So you guys are becoming this efficiency. The efficiency is unbelievable.
That's what it is.
So this crazy thing called title insurance, it's part of a transaction, but you're checking to make sure, let's go to that, all the liens on the house, that everything's been going to be paid off, and now we're able to transfer title to the new homeowners. And this whole important part, again, you guys distribute the funds.
Correct.
You're paying a lot of times at a purchase, you're paying the homeowner's insurance policy.
Correct.
You might be paying off somebody's debt to qualify. We see that sometimes. No, you don't qualify, sir, unless we pay some things off at the closing table.
Correct. I've seen stuff even like liens, something as silly as a homeowners association.
Oh, yeah,
$120 lien
on
a house that, you can't close, things like that. So there's not just big things, there's little things too that will prohibit you from moving forward with a sale.
All the great agents out there, look, if you're looking maybe for a new relationship, additional people to talk to, Tom, you guys do a great job. We can call you anytime, answers the phone, all the great stuff. And again, setting up transactions and set up some LLCs within other real estate offices and stuff that work for you guys.
Correct. And we're nationwide too. We're a national footprint. One of my big partners right here, Dade DiMaggio. I'm his in-house title.
There you go.
So downtown Birmingham, House of May. I'm his in-house title.
Tell him how you got that.
Let's go to John out there in Washington. Got a caller calling in. We want to hear from you this morning. 248-539-9797. We have open lines all morning long. John from Washington, go ahead with your question, sir.
Okay, thank you. Back in 2021, our son was going through a divorce, and we purchased a house for him for $250,000. And after the divorce, we did a quitclaim deed, put him on the property. And to pay for that house, we took out a loan on our own home to buy that house.
Yes.
Now we're at the point where he's going to be selling that house. How does that money get distributed, and are there capital gain taxes involved in that?
Well, no, but he'll be okay. If he's lived in the house for over 2 years, he's going to be all set. So I'm glad you put his name on the title to the house. So he's the owner with you guys, and those funds will be distributed any way you like. You can take them all. You can take your money right back. Maybe that was the agreement you had with your son. And again, of so many great days, we see this all the time too. A lot of families out there and parents, we're taking care of our kids. Like, I've never seen this before.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, we see so many families too, John. Good for you that, you had the savings. You were successful enough to put that money away for your kids. Yeah, now it's time that he pays you back on the transaction.
Okay, and there's no capital gain taxes or anything involved in that?
Over 2 years now.
Yeah, over 2 years, and you put his name on the title. That was the key. If it was your investment property, that gets a little sticky.
Yep.
Then you got to start finding out how to write off the profit. And Let me just ask you, is there a considerable amount of appreciation? How's it looking? How are the numbers looking?
I bet.
It's about 75,000.
Take that over 2 years. That's
All day.
you can
all day
advertise
long.
for us with that, John. And where's he going to move to? Where's he going to move to after he sells his house?
Well, he's got a new girlfriend, so that's where he's moving.
Fantastic. So she's got a house. He's moving into her house. That's good. I like that
You got
play.
it.
Moving forward.
He's got a plan. He's got a plan.
Maybe you'll allow him a few dollars. And we see this too, John. It's a great question. And the money stays in your pocket. So congratulations. Thanks for helping your children out. That's a good move. Thank you for the call.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Dade, I like it here. Just making sure everyone's taken care of on a transaction. But think about that wealth. He just made $75,000. Again, now you pay your parents back the money. You can also now buy in. We see this in relationships all the time. You can say, hey, look, you've got this equity. You can buy in. Maybe she's getting ready. Now he moves in with his girlfriend.
Okay.
Same thing can happen. They might want to refine. Maybe they're engaged to get married. I mean, things can change. Now that plays into the title work also.
Right.
I mean, it's a little risky, though. You know what I mean? You got to be careful when you're buying with the girlfriend. Let's say that. You know, I do advise my clients to make sure we are in a very strong relationship before we start buying houses.
Okay.
Outside
Is it a
of the
6-month
marriage.
rule? At least a 6-month rule?
At least 6 months. It's got to be.
All right.
But yeah, from an appreciation standpoint, it looks like a good decision.
You're in the honeymoon phase. I mean, dating's fun. Hey, Becky Alley, come and join the conversation with us. We're starting to talk about relationships. You might know a thing or two about this stuff.
I mean, yes, relationships are good, and it's nice when parents step in and help their children live a life that they wouldn't otherwise live.
Becky Alley, of course, joining us. Becky, you're somewhere in the United States. I don't know. You were down in Florida. I think you took the red eye home or something last night. You're calling from here in Michigan. Are you back home?
No, I'm still in Florida. So what is cool about Capital Mortgage Funding is we are a direct line right here to Florida. I'm in Tampa, and it is booming down here in Florida. That is for sure.
Tampa's crazy.
Yeah, Tampa's crazy. I'm a Sarasota guy, so just a
Well,
little south
Sarasota's
of
crazy.
that.
I'm in Naples, so
Oh,
I'm a
good.
little
We
south.
got the whole West Coast
I'm
covered
an East
in here.
Coast guy, but I'm starting to migrate west.
I got too many kids. I'm on the Gulf side now. I can't.
Becky, tell us a couple. Give us one thing. I won't keep you on the air since you're down there and you got lots going on today. But give us a little bit about what you feel is going on. You and I usually touch base. What's going on right now, middle spring here in Southeast Michigan with the buyers?
It is very competitive. It is all the things we said it was going to be. Multiple offers, over asking. You have some people that are even going 60,000 over asking, and they're still losing on some of these homes. And so when we're talking about getting your ducks in a row, making sure that you're prepared, the point of all that is to make sure that when this moment happens and you're writing that offer, that we've already had these hard, tough conversations. So, you can't get frustrated if you're a buyer out there right now because you might have to write a couple offers before we get something accepted, and that's the truth right now.
248-539-9797. Becky, I don't know if you're going to stay on the line with us or anything. We've got Dade DiMaggio in here. Of course, we're talking House of Maine, Birmingham, and sales going around all across the United States, more specifically here in Michigan is what we're focusing on today. How is the inventory? Again, you just mentioned it. Even in your neck of the woods downriver, it's the multiple bids on these nice houses. Dade's saying the same thing here.
Flashbacks to 2022,
It's really like that. You need a few extra dollars. So that's what we do is we prepare buyers for what's going to happen. The inevitable is going to happen here. If you're in a multiple bid situation, you might have started off, Becky, this is one of the things, you might have started off as a 20% down buyer. But now when you're doing a guarantee appraisal, now when you're overbidding, all of a sudden, maybe you love the house, but it's just not everything the right way, and you need an extra $40,000 to redo the kitchen or whatever it might be. So, that's one of the things we're seeing too is some of the families, I tell the purchase agreements, I say, look, put 20% down. And then get the offer accepted, and then we can see what happens. Yeah. A lot of times the appraisal
it's a little trick that we used to do.
Yeah, no one heard it. And the thing is, the sellers don't care, Dade, at the closing, as long as they get in that transaction, they get the money and what they were promised they're going to get it. But again, sometimes that appraisal comes in a little bit light.
Yeah. Are you still seeing some waivers coming through?
We do a lot of, PIWs have definitely been out there, property inspection waivers. So many times out there, if a house was just sold recently or refinanced, it's already in the books. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac sort of have it all coded in the books. Yeah. And that value is already out there. So a strong borrower comes up, we plug in their information, and often appraisals aren't even needed. But poor news for the appraisers out there because, it gets a little bit tighter. Hopefully this refi boom is going to get everyone fired up moving forward.
Yeah, and back to what Becky was saying is like what I'm seeing that's really different is that there's houses sitting on the market for 30 to 45 days, which is, normal historically, right? But, over the last couple of years, we've looked at like selling instantly. If you get the listing, it's gone, it's multiple bid, it's 60K over. I'm seeing that 45 days after it's on market. So like there's this, the low inventory, and then coming in seasonally, you're seeing stuff now go to multiple bid situations 45 days later. And it's just something I've been doing this for almost 13 years, something I haven't personally seen yet. So kind of weird, but still same result. Like you're seeing these houses go for crazy, crazy money.
Hey, you want to be where you want to be. Becky, I'll give you last words.
Well, yeah, so what I was just saying is that it's frustrating, though, because you're like, oh, I'm going to go after this house has been sitting here for 30 days. And it's like, as soon as you write that offer, everybody's writing that offer.
Usually agents are lying. They're like, oh, we have another offer. And I'm like, no, you don't. It's been 2 months. You don't. And they do. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I got it in an escalation clause the other week for a property that's been sitting for 79 days. Never happened before, but I mean, that's good news.
It's real estate in Michigan right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beck, thanks for joining us here on the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Becky, you're in office next. You're going to be here in the studio next Saturday, I hope. So we'll be talking this week. All righty. That's great. Becky Ailey, top 1% of all originators in the United States, one of those Scotsman guy ladies. Becky knows how to get mortgages done. And we've been taking a little bit, it's like the easy part of our job is when you get someone who's got it all figured out already. Their credit's great. The funds are there. They've been planning. Then sometimes we deal with the other 50% of the folks that need a little bit more hand-holding, and that's okay, too. Give us a call here live in the studio, 248-539-9797. When we come back, all your calls. Welcome back. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show in our 25th year. We're having a good time here in the studio this morning. Even Katie over here doing the audio and video. She joins in. 4 years as a real estate agent. Dade DiMaggio, House of May. I love Dade, man. Just a great energy. We hope we do a little business, just a little business, Dade.
Hey.
We'll do a little business. We'll share some buyers and sellers, and we'll
love it.
We'll increase our sphere of influence just by knowing each other and dropping great names with Tom Oslund from Presidential Title. You know, everyone's starting to become this collaborative group of people, and there's just so many of us that are sort of in the in crowd, I'd want to say. But
the in crowd, that's a good way to say it.
But if you're not in the in crowd, you folks can join us.
Part of the herd, right?
Join us. We're expanding
Water's
our herd.
warm. Come in.
Yeah, come on in and join us. I told you at the break, I said, I'm done talking this morning. Let's talk about a couple of things we talked about off the air and stuff, things that you want to roll with.
Yeah, I mean, essentially throughout my career, I was in multiple brokerages. I had success throughout that tenure, and I picked up pieces as I went. And what I tried to do with my brokerage was put the main important pieces together and create more of a haven for real estate agents in this modern age. And, what does that mean? I think one of the biggest things in real estate when it comes to a representation, the agency from the agent to the client, is the financial pressure sometimes that comes in with real estate. When you're selling a property, you're going to get paid, but it's not a consistent income stream all the time. So, you deal with agents who, especially today when it's so flooded with a lot of real estate agents,
right?
A lot of them aren't selling. There were numbers from this last year where it showed that 75% of agents didn't even sell a house. It's crazy. And that's crazy because
they used to teach you the old 80-20 rule in business, right? 20% of the people sold 80% of your product. In the real estate industry, I think it's more like 95-5 or 97-3.
And it's a very top-heavy industry. I mean, the big hitters are making the sales. And to be honest, that's who you want to work with. You want to work with somebody who's in the mix, who's selling. When you meet an agent, you want to know what they've sold. You want to know what they've sold in your area. You want to know how long they've been doing it. I mean, there's really no other way to say it, So it's important to really find out, who that person's going to be. And so from a broker perspective, you want to showcase these agents so that they can then service the clients in your area. So when I started House of May, being in Birmingham was central because that is a central location to all the areas that we cover. So I felt like it's important to bring back, a lot of, especially post-COVID, when you're dealing with everybody's working from home now. And there's something tangible to being, in the office, being around, the energy, the people that are making these things happen. And so I felt like that was key. And it's a risk because obviously you're paying, high rent, you're doing things that everybody else is saying not to do. But I wanted to be there.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm not cutting you off. I just want to interject this. I don't want to use these, throw any company under the bus. Everyone's got these crazy platforms, but I just don't get it. One of these platforms, something like, it sounds like Bluefin Tuna or like something fin, color fin.
No clue.
The client, the agent, I talked to the listing agent. I was talking about the house that I had gone and met the selling agent, reviewed the house because an FHA buyer. We wanted to check out the house, make sure it was in pretty good condition. The listing agent was never at the house.
Yeah.
They could have got 10 or 15,000 more for it. I just want to say, Mrs. Seller out there, now that you know me or whatever you don't know me, how would you feel if you had $10,000 more in your bank account this morning? Probably better.
A lot
better.
better.
That's the hidden value. That's where
she never went to the house. How do you list the house without going to it?
And when you're paying 3% to somebody, right? They better make you more than 3%.
That's what I'm paying 2% and you sell the house for less?
Exactly.
You're killing me.
Yeah, you're killing them. So, it's important, the dynamic between, as a broker, what you're trying to do for the agents who then are representing the clients. So you got this triangle, this 3-point system, right? And you really want the ebb and flow between it to be smooth, to be represented on all ends, because that's the important thing, is that I can give an agent the opportunity to do what they do best. And so we just felt like it was important to placate ourselves in central Birmingham. And then number 2 is financial alleviation from an agent's perspective. Sometimes you see these agents getting so much pressure on what their splits are, how much they're paying, how much the house is taking. And so we just thought, hey, I hated that. So I'm going to go and just make it cheap. I always said, can I provide a Harvard education
for a Schoolcraft price. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to give our agents the best opportunity to service their clients at a high level. And we want to keep that grouping to be some of the top people in the area. So what we're doing is we're going to build it like a sports team. You know, we're going to go out there, we're going to find the players. We're going to find people that mesh and create that synergy. Part of that synergy and part of that opportunity that we put in-house is going to be based on bringing in people like Tom and Presidential Title, you know, getting people under our roof that can network, connect, and add value to the representatives that then go out there in the world and service these clients in their homes, you know? And so like you said, I mean, you're dealing with a huge grouping of agents in the market. Same thing with loan officers, you know, I mean, it's very relative. You have a lot of them. They're dwindling because obviously things are getting tough. But when you have the best of the best and you can find that easily and you can provide that, that's where you're going to source the best type of business. You know,
didn't 60% of the LOs, the loan originators, fall out over the past?
Yeah, some of them you can't find. They're on the back of the milk carton for sure. They're definitely, but that's okay. They can go back to doing whatever they were doing before they got into our industry.
Right.
And again, you know, we can't knock it. It's one of the things after being in this industry. I'm coming up on 35 years this year, so in January it'd be 35 years. I started too. I was new in the industry, but it was so different. There wasn't just this many people in it. And one of the things I did realize when I first got into lending was people were stuck. Hey, I use this guy, whoever it was.
Right.
I use Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith, whoever it was. I met Mr. and Mrs. Smith like a couple years later after that when I first started. Yeah. They were such a disappointment. and some of these people I've told to their face they might not like me as much now. But yeah, there's so many like sort of fakers in there or whatever. And I'm
a lot of fakers. Yeah.
That kind of, so it's a
let's talk about that. Yeah.
Easy industry to get into, but tough industry to be really successful.
And there's a lot of people, you know, in today's social media world where, you know, my problem is that a lot of people represent something online, but they don't back it in real life. And I feel like that's a falsity to represent to a lot of these clients who are then hiring these people because, you know, this is a local business. So your national presence or how much people know you on Facebook or Instagram doesn't necessarily represent how well you market your local area. Right. So, you know, you got to be careful. And I feel like the people that we're looking for, the people that I want to work with are people that represent online exactly what they are in person. You know, good on their feet, credentialed, historically successful, and active in their business. Yeah. And when you're looking for a real estate agent to represent you or a loan officer to represent you, those are the most important things.
All right, let me throw a couple things out there, too. Again, mortgage interest rates are pretty steady. I got so much information to talk about them. I mean, I'm not kidding. We wake up on Monday morning, and it says rates are worse. Then later on Tuesday afternoon, the price improvement. Yep. Mortgage rates somewhere between the Southern National averages on Mortgage News Daily is one of the publications I would go to. It's not a set interest rate. So one of the things I could tell everyone, anyone listening, is everyone is different. Your credit score is different. Your loan to value, meaning how much money you're going to put down the house. On our refinance side, if you're doing a cash out refinance, that has loan level pricing adjustments. That's a little bit different interest rate than just doing a rate and term refinance. So there's lots of variables. It's not, I'm clicking a button and I'm asking, what's your interest rate? That's not where you want to start. Now, yeah, that's a good start. How about if my answer was, well, our phone number is 1-800-LOW-RATE, so I offer very low rates. That's a good start. But how about the fact that you can call me and you can find out more information? How about the fact you can call us at Capital Mortgage Funding? When we refinance you now, you're automatically in our system. We are a mortgage bank powered by CMG Home Loans. You can refinance your mortgage if the rate goes down to 5% next year and you got 7% this year. You can refinance then for a fraction of the closing cost. Again, if the rates get down, you have this opportunity to refinance. And there's two reasons why folks refinance. I'm going to throw it out there. One is to get a lower interest rate. Two, the most important for purchasers is to get rid of the mortgage insurance. Correct. Whether it be the MIP on an FHA loan or on a conventional loan PMI, you're getting rid of something. You're improving. And then last but not least, because I want to go back to real estate because we're up against the end of the show here, there's always the opportunity to knock years off your mortgage. Folks, we don't want you to have a 30-year pay it for 5 years, then go back to a 30-year again. The idea is that maybe you can get down to 10 or 15 years and really start building where more and more of your dollars pays off the principal of the loan. And you can get the house paid off one day. If you're in a position where you have a lot of children to pay for college, I'm looking over here to Dade, no doubt having some equity or having a little nest egg is a good thing to have, Dade.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And then I think it really giving yourself an idea of how long you're going to own that house is going to be, played into what you're looking at rate wise and what you're looking at term wise.
Yeah, it's not how long you're going to keep the mortgage for. We don't know when
right,
the opportunity comes to change. It's how long do you plan on staying here and raising the kids? What is this your forever house, or you're going to raise the kids?
Very rarely are you seeing people stay 30 years.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and you're seeing some of these homeowners now too that are looking out for their kids, like I say, to leave the home for their kids, and so they are. They're going into a 10-year, or they're going into a quicker payoff, so they can have that free asset to leave to their kids and stuff like that. So,
all right. Last but not least, too, I want to throw this in there. There is a bridge loan out there. We offer bridge loan financing, but people don't always want that. Now they have another loan. They haven't sold their house. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. I love the reverse contingency. I want to sell my house contingent upon me finding another one.
I just did one of those. Yeah.
I think that's still the golden rule. Talk about it a little bit, that reverse contingency. That way, if I know I have my house sold, when I go out with Dade to look at the new house that I want to buy, I'm more confident. I'm willing to overpay.
Sure.
I already know what I'm netting from the sale of my house.
It works for everybody. I mean, the biggest thing that I see when deals fall through is unsurety. When people are nervous or they don't have the answers that they're looking for in order to move forward. So something like this provides, a real confidence towards saying, I got time, I got money, essentially, because it's pretty locked up by the time you move forward, and it gets the sale done,
Guys, that music says it's the end of our show.
Oh, wow.
Damn,
the fastest show in radio, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. You guys are awesome. Dade DiMaggio, House of May, downtown
Thank you so
Birmingham.
much, Harvey. I appreciate it.
You're coming
man. This
back.
has been awesome.
Love your energy.
To.
You're fun to hang out with, too, a little bit here. Tom Oslund, always the best.
The man.
Tom, I don't know. You owe me a coffee, a drink, or something. We always say we're getting together for something. We're going to need something.
Absolutely.
Presidential title, one of the new title companies that's come to our area over the last couple years.
Yep.
Great technology, really fast, speedy service, and great guy to know.
Smarter, faster, and easier for less, Harvey.
Sounds pretty good. Hey, be sure to call Capital Mortgage Funding all week long at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Always live here in the studio on 97.1 The Ticket. I see Pat Caputo. He's coming out of the bullpen. Mark Ryan will be joining him here. Sports all day. Tiger baseball later this afternoon. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket.